With just 5 games to go in the regular season for the Philadelphia Phillies, mostly all of the postseason roster, I think we know what is going to happen. But there are a few spots that I think are still up for grabs as far as who can make it, who will be left off for the NLDS. And we're going to get into all of that today. You know, who could possibly be in, who could possibly be out, and more on the newest episode of Phillies Digest. Yes, as I said, it's crazy to think about that there is just 5 games to go. As of right now, 92-65 for your Philadelphia Phillies, which is 157 games into this season. They're 2.5 back of the Brewers for the number 1 seed, and they hold a 4-game lead on the Dodgers. I am recording this on Wednesday, September 24th, the day of the second Marlins game. So do me a favor and ignore that base bar down here if you've gotten to this part of the video and you see the base bar. These games are a little off, so ignore that for me if you can. But 5 more games left. The magic number for the bye is 1. The Dodgers lost on Tuesday night after the Phillies lost in a wild rain delay 11-inning game versus Miami. But luckily, the Dodgers lost on a walk-off from the Diamondbacks last night, who were still fighting for that last playoff spot. So the loss obviously wasn't great. Phillies have lost 4 or 5, but they ended up gaining a game last night for the magic number. So the magic number is down to 1. But postseason obviously coming up. The most likely scenario if the Phillies do clinch this bye, which the Dodgers would have to go 5-0 and the Phillies would have to go 0-5 in the last 5 games for that to happen. So I think we can wrap this, bye conversation pretty much up. The Phillies are going to get it. The Phillies are going to have the first round bye. The Dodgers will be playing in the wild card round. And the Phillies' first playoff game will be Saturday, October 4th versus either the Dodgers or somebody else towards the bottom here. That's kind of where we're at right now. But as far as, the NLDS coming up, the postseason roster, obviously once you're on the postseason roster, rosters can't change for each series. So they have to set them. They basically get announced that morning. But, I think the Phillies are pretty much set on where they're at right now. But I think there's a few fringe options here, and I do kind of just want to run over my 26-man roster prediction for the NLDS. To start off with the catchers, JT Realmuto and Rafael Marchand, I think, will be the 2 catchers on the roster. Obviously, JT Realmuto will be on the roster. Garrett Stubbs was called up as the 3rd catcher when rosters expanded back on September 1st, but Rob Thomson has said multiple times since Stubbs' promotion that Marchand is still their backup catcher. No real crazy anything here, barring some injury. JT Realmuto and Rafael Marchand will be the catchers, I am assuming. Infielders, Bryce Harper, no doubt. Bryson Stott, no doubt. Trey Turner hit live BP on Tuesday, was going to do so again today on Wednesday. Phillies are hoping to hopefully get him back for maybe a couple regular season games. They're hoping to get him a few at-bats this weekend versus the Twins. But obviously, Trey is a lock. Bohm is a lock. Sosa, who was activated today from the IL, is also a lock. Here's the one that I think could get a little dicey, but I personally believe that he will be on the roster, and that is Otto Kemp. Here's kind of what I wrote for Crossing Broad yesterday about the infielders. 3 of these 6 players have been hurt or are still in the IL over the last few weeks, but it seems that all 3 will be ready to go for the postseason. Alec Bohm had a great first series back in Arizona, going 8 for 13 with 2 doubles, a homer, and 4 RBIs. Edmundo Sosa is expected to be activated this week. He was activated today. And Thomson continued, on Turner, who I just told you about. Otto Kemp is the only infielder that isn't a 100% lock to be on the roster, but I believe he'll be with the team in October. He's earned it. He may not play elite defense at third, but he was an early season spark for an offense that needed it and is hitting well. In September. And the Phillies like his bat. The Phillies like Otto Kemp. He's gotten a ton of big hits throughout the month of September. I believe he will be on the postseason roster. This is maybe where things get the most interesting. Outfielders: Brandon Marsh, Harrison Bader, Nick Castellanos, Max Kepler. 4 locks. Weston Wilson was my 5th outfielder. Marsh, Bader, Castellanos, and Kepler are locks. Wilson has hit lefties well and gives the Phillies some more power from the outfield. Here's where I think things could get a tad dicey, but I still think it'll be Weston Wilson. The only other outfield option would be Johan Rojas, who was optioned to AAA on August 1st to make room for Bader on the 26-man roster following the trade deadline. Rojas would provide pinch running and an elite late game glove option. Rojas reportedly tweaked his right quad a few days ago in Lehigh Valley, so that would probably hurt his chance. I think there's a slight chance, it could be Rojas, but I think the Phillies like Weston Wilson's bat, specifically against left-handed pitching. And he's a serviceable corner outfielder when it comes to defense. Kind of getting into the pitchers here, our last category. Starting pitchers: Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez, Jesus Luzardo, and Aaron Nola. With the way the NLDS off days are set up, the Phillies will only need 3 starting pitchers in the NLDS versus potentially the Dodgers or whoever they do match up against. The most likely scenario is throwing all 3 lefties, and I think it'll be in the order I listed above. Sanchez Game 1, Suarez Game 2, Luzardo Game 3, Sanchez in a Game 4 if necessary, and Ranger in a Game 5 if necessary back in Philadelphia. Nola will obviously be on the roster, but I don't think it's incredibly likely he pitches in the NLDS just because they don't need 4 starters. And then you kind of get into the relief pitchers where, these first 5 guys on here are locks. After that, I think it gets a little dicey. Obviously, Johan Duran, David Robertson, Matt Strahm, Tanner Banks, Orion Kerkering. Those 5 are absolute locks. Duran, Robertson, Strahm, Banks, and Kerkering are locks. I'd be absolutely shocked if Buehler wasn't on the roster after they signed him and they've used him. I think they could use Buehler in multiple ways. If, one of the starters gets rocked a little bit and they need a mid-inning guy, I think Buehler could be that guy with a ton of postseason experience, but not in some crazy big role. Tim Meza, I would say, is my only real up for grabs spot. This could go to Lou Trevino or Max Lazar, but I think the Phillies would lean Meza to give them a third lefty out of the pen for an earlier inning option. If they were to carry a righty, I think it would be Trevino before Lazar. Lou Trevino has had a nice year, split between Lehigh Valley and the pros. He had another good outing in the 11th last night. Obviously, allowed 1 run, but with the ghost runner, you kind of expect that. Trevino is my only guy I think could slide in there over Meza. I expect Taijuan to be on there. How much will he pitch in the NLDS? I don't know. In an ideal world, not because I don't trust Taijuan Walker at all, but in an ideal world, Taijuan Walker isn't needed in the NLDS. If Taijuan's needed, that means one of your starters probably didn't go long after another one of your starters didn't go long. So Walker's probably the last resort option there. But, that's kind of where my roster sets up. And obviously, there's one guy left off. I gave you 25 names. I didn't put the screenshot on here because I think everyone knows Kyle Schwarber is going to be the DH in the postseason. That's kind of my postseason 26-man roster right now as of September 24th. Obviously, we have 5 games left in the season. Some injuries can happen. Some guys can maybe stand out over the next 4 or 5 games. But as of right now, I think that's where things stand. 5 games left. Magic number for the bye is 1, and the Phillies take on the Marlins tonight for Game 2 of their series. Jesus Luzardo on the mound tonight. 2 more against the Marlins, 3 more against the Twins, a week off, and then Game 1 of the NLDS on Saturday, October 4th. This has been the newest episode of Phillies Digest. My name is Luke Arcaini, and I will see you guys next time.